Hi everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I thought I'd hop on today and do another video on frugal tips. My favorite. I haven't been on for a few days and I apologize for that, but I've been a little bit busy. So anyway, today's the day to do a frugal video. So I'm going to do 11 tips on how to be more frugal. And so one of my favorite frugal people that I've gone to was actually this book. This lady, her name is Amy Decision, and she wrote this book back in the, I don't know if it was in the 80s or the 90s. She's actually from Maine, and she wrote this book. Well, she actually had a newsletter, I believe, how she started. But she started this because her and her husband, the story is all in the book. And but anyway, she started being super duper frugal because her and her husband wanted to have a big family, and they wanted to buy an old, like, 1800s farmhouse with an attached barn. That was their goal and their plan. So they just wanted to do everything they possibly could, and she took it to the nth degree. I mean, this lady was like super duper frugal, and she wrote about it. She got to be so popular. She was on talk shows and everything. I mean, she had a really, really successful newsletter and talk show and all that stuff. Well, they did save up enough money to buy their house, and she continued to write for a little while after, but then she gave it up when her kids got older, and she really didn't need to do the newsletter. So again, this book here, this one here that I have, she wrote several volumes of this book, and this is all 3 volumes in one. So that's why I got that one. But I will say that all 3 volumes are in there, but not everything from all 3 volumes are in there. But all 3 volumes plus this one are still available on Amazon. I checked it out. This one's, the one combined is like $25 on Amazon. So you can still buy that book. And I will say that her tips are fantastic. There's some things in there that are a little outdated. Like, for instance, when she speaks about her top price that she pays for things, well, of course, that's changed a lot. You know, the price of things have changed a lot, so that's kind of outdated. But I tell you what, her principles are rock solid. You can still go by her principles in this book. I do it all the time. Anyway, I've gotten that book years ago, and I still have it. As you can see, I've got all kinds of tabs on the side where I go very frequently to refer back to it. But anyway, so one of my favorite things that she has in this book that she talks about is called the Pantry Principle. So the first thing is the Pantry Principle. And she writes about it, but she also in the book refers to somebody else that wrote a book that apparently had this Pantry Principle as well. Now, the other people that wrote another book, their names are Barbara Salisbury and Sherry Lovelace, and they wrote a book by the name of Cut Your Grocery Bill in Half. And I looked that up on Amazon. That was still on sale for $25. The Tightwad Gazette, the one that I have, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's on Amazon for $21, and it's at Walmart.com for $23. So my book you can get for those prices. But anyway, she talks about these 2 other women that wrote this Cut Your Grocery Bill in Half book, and they talk about this Pantry Principle. It's kind of along the lines of stockpiling. I know you've seen all kinds of those fabulous coupon people out there who can stockpile. They buy things that are really super duper good deal, sometimes even free, and they stockpile it. So it's kind of along those same lines. I think the difference between the Pantry Principle and those couponing people are that the couponing people seem to stockpile like hundreds of bottles of things, but in Amy Decision in this book, and me as well, I only want to stockpile what I'm going to use for the next couple months maybe. And so what this basically is you grocery shop to fill your pantry. I think it goes on the idea that everybody has certain things that they eat. I mean, really, everybody has probably about 20 recipes that they kind of, their go-to recipes that they kind of cycle through. And so you know what items you need for those recipes, and you know how often you have them, and so you kind of know how much you use. And I believe grocery stores cycle through sales about every 6 or 8 weeks, I think it is. So if you think about it, if you're running low on something in your pantry and you know, well, I've got another, say for instance, pasta, spaghetti. You know you need six, you have pasta once a week, and you know you need 6 pounds of pasta to get you through for the next pasta sale. And the next pasta sale, you know, isn't coming up for another 4 weeks, but you're down to, you know, one pasta. You're going to need pasta. So when it comes on sale again, you buy another 6 to restock you. But anyway, you buy whatever you need to get to the level that you know you need to have on hand. I don't have room to stockpile a lot of stuff, so I don't do the stockpiling thing, but I love the idea of it. And so this principle, this pantry principle, kind of is along the lines. So stockpiling. So you basically, like I said, you know the ingredients you use, you know about how long it takes you to go through certain ingredients, and so you kind of get a feel for that after you have done it a while. And that's really all that she did, and that's what I do too. And what she does is she'll go through, and I do the same thing. I just mentioned it in a video I did a little while ago. A couple weeks ago, my grocery store had cucumbers and iceberg lettuce and bananas on sale, and those are the only 3 things I went into the grocery store to buy. So I guess they call them a loss leader. So you keep your eye on those. And I stockpiled my bananas because I like to have a strawberry banana smoothie in the morning. So I bought a bunch of bananas, and I waited until they ripened up to the kind that where I wanted them to be, and then I just froze them. They're in a bag in my freezer. But anyway, what her and her husband did is they would scan the weekly flyer, find out what was on sale, and they would only buy things that were at the absolute rock bottom price. She, like I said, goes into detail about what her rock bottom prices are, but like I said, it's all that's kind of gone by. It's no longer relevant because it was so long ago, but you can certainly do it. I mean, we all know about what we'll pay for chicken, say for instance, chicken legs or whatever. You only buy it when it's at its rock bottom price, and if you have a coupon, that's even better. Sometimes you can get coupons that, like I said, you can get coupons that you can get an item for almost free or free, combine it with a sale. So anyway, that's the principle. The pantry principle is you kind of basically shop to stock your pantry. You don't shop, say, for instance, I'm going to make tacos this week. I'm going to buy all this stuff for tacos this week. No, you go by what's in your pantry. Do you have all the stuff in your pantry to make tacos? If you don't, then, you know. So anyway, that's how she does it. And a lot of people will do meal planning a month ahead or a week ahead. I like to do it a week ahead, but she says you only do it a day ahead. And I do that a lot, I have to say. So what you do is, to do the day ahead meal planning, she says you can save better money by doing that. So if you're going to do meal planning like a day ahead, think about, there are a few things you should think about. You should think about what type of meal you haven't had in a while. Like say I mentioned tacos. You know, if I haven't had Mexican food in a couple weeks, maybe I get the hankering for Mexican food. So I'd like to make Mexican food. What do you have in your pantry that you could make Mexican food? Also consider what you have a surplus of. You know, maybe you've got a lot of pasta in your pantry and you want to use some of it up. Maybe you want to have a pasta meal. What do you need to use up in your refrigerator? Like, do you have some carrots that are going to go bad? What can you make with the carrots in there? What's the weather going to be like? This is a good one that a lot of people probably don't think about, but what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? You know, I live in a state that has 4 seasons in it, and we have days that are, you know, it's going to be 5 below for 4 days in a row. You're going to want to make something that's cozy and comforting and that warms you, you know, like maybe a stew or a soup or something. And so you're going to want to take out items to make those things with. And maybe you want a crusty bread to go with it, so plan on making some bread. And if it's going to be 90 degrees and humid for the next week, you're going to want to have a lot of cool weather, you know, cool meals like salads and sandwiches and things like that. So that's something you should take into consideration. What is your schedule? You know, do you have the next few days off? Are you guys all working like crazy? Who's going to be home? You know, do the kids have practices, some kind of sports practice or music lessons or whatever? Who's going to be there for the meal? Maybe they're at their other parent's house, for instance. If you have a garden, like I live in Maine and I have a garden, and what do you have that's ripening in your garden that you need to use up? Zucchini is a big one. Can you do stuffed zucchini or maybe a stir fry of the zucchini? Something like that. So anyway, that's the 24-hour meal. You might need to make a meal that's got, maybe you need to take something out of the freezer that needs to thaw out for the meal the next day. Or you might have like a bean dish you want to make and you have to soak the beans overnight. So those are all things that, you'd need to consider when you're making out your menu for the next day, your meal plan for the next day. And if you have children, yeah, you guys are in much need of that. But this principle can also apply to other things in your life if you think about it. Around here, we have a lot of yard sales in the summertime. I mean, there's a lot of them. You could literally spend every weekend going to a different area of the state to do yard selling and buy yard sale items. Now, you can think this same principle, kind of stockpile. Like if you have children, she had children when she wrote that book, so she went into a lot of detail about how, try to think about, if you're yard sailing in July, but you come across some little kids' winter jackets at a yard sale. Well, think about what your kids' sizes might be this coming winter. What size do you need to buy? So that you can do that with kids' clothes. Also, if it's July, what's coming up? School is going to come up. So do the kids need backpacks? What about sneakers? What about lunch boxes? Things like that. Men, I see tools at a lot of the yard sales that I go to. So tools or work gloves. You can also, when things come on sale, you can stockpile them. Like I used to do my own oil changes, and I would still do my own oil changes in my car if I had a garage, but I don't. So I don't, but you could buy motor oil when it comes on sale, oil filters. Lots of times they have rebates on that stuff. I used to do that all the time when I changed my own oil. And then, so when you have that, or people who do crafting, a lot of times they have glue sticks, things like that come on sale that you can buy at a good price. And then when you need it, you go shopping in your stockpile. So that's the Pantry Principle. The second thing that she has in that book that I really, really like, and it's called Universal Recipes. So she has a universal recipe for muffins. She's got one for casseroles. She's got one for rice pilaf. There's a couple other ones in there, but I don't remember what. And basically, the basic idea of the recipe is that you have like a cup of the first ingredient and a cup or two of a second ingredient, and then maybe a cup of a starchy ingredient, and then you have to have a binder. And then she'll go through a list of things you can use for the first ingredient, the second ingredient, the binder, the topping, different things you can use for those things. And you kind of mix and match with whatever you have in your refrigerator or what you need to use up or something like that. So maybe, when you're going through your refrigerator the night before to figure out what you're going to have for a meal the next day, maybe you can think about, making a casserole from stuff that you have in your refrigerator that you need to use up. So, anyway, Universal Recipes. She kind of made up her own recipes as time went on, and she saw what how her family ate, how they were using things, and what she just could mix together that was a good mix. And she said it, and I'll say it too. I've done that before, and some of my best recipes are from these universal recipe things that I make, that stuff that I had on hand, that I needed to use up. Okay, so number 2 is universal recipes. Number 3 is use what you have. And this goes for meal, kind of goes along with the meal planning thing that I just mentioned, but it also is in other things in your apartment. Like I'm going to be doing a organization video coming up, and I don't know when, but I'm going to do an organization video of my kitchen cabinets. I moved in here not that long ago, I've mentioned before, and I have one cabinet that there's no pantry in this apartment, so I've had to kind of make use with what I do. When I do that video, I'll show you. But I only have one cabinet that's normally people would use for pots and pans, but that's my pantry. And it is in dire need of organizing, so I'm going to try to do that in the next week or so. So, to do that job, what am I going to do? I'm going to want to reuse what I've got. I've got, plenty plastic containers that I might have, Ziploc bags. You hand not for this project I'm going to do, but if you have children, hand me down clothes. Hand your children's clothes down from one child to the next. So you use what you have. And I'm thinking about my pantry in the kitchen. I've got a couple wire shelves, that I could stack canned goods on. I've got a couple of those. I've got a rack. I have a basket that's actually, it's a picnic basket, but it looks like a picnic basket, but it's a pie basket. And there's a little wooden, like, shelf thing that you can put in there to put a pie on the bottom, and you put that shelf on and you just put a pie on the top. Well, I don't need it in that basket anymore, but I can use it possibly in my pantry do-over that I'm going to do. So, and I'm thinking there are lots of those plastic shoe boxes you can get with a cover on them. I think you can get them at Dollar Tree. You can certainly get them at Walmart. And I have a few of those kicking around. I've used for so many things. I've got craft supplies in them. My laptop right now is sitting on a plastic container that I've got knitting in, and I've used that thing for I don't know how many things. But anyway, think about what you've got. Baskets. I have tons of baskets around here, and if I don't have them, I can pick them up for practically nothing at thrift stores. So the third one was use what you have. The fourth one is, when you're running errands, combine errands to save on gas. So if you have, say for instance, I haven't left the house in like 4 days, but I've got to go to the Dollar Tree, I've got to go to Walmart, I've got to go to my grocery store. I'm going to do all those errands in one thing. I'm not going to go to Walmart one day and then go to the grocery store the next day, and then the next day go. I'm going to combine my errands, so I can only, if I'm going to start my car, I'm going to go out one time, So you combine your errands to save gas. Number 5 is try new things. So what I just did last week, so when you try new things, just know that not everything that you try is going to be a hit or a success. For instance, last week I'd done some cooking over the holidays, and I had some milk in the refrigerator that I think I've mentioned before, I cannot drink milk. But I had it for some cooking I did over the holidays, so I thought, well, rather than have that milk go bad, I'm going to try to do something with it. Well, I researched online how to make yogurt. I've made my own yogurt from coconut milk yogurt, but this I wanted to make regular yogurt from dairy milk. So I researched online how to do it, and I was trying to use what I had. And I found a recipe online that somebody had made yogurt, and they used probiotic tablets instead of that yogurt starter. And I had the probiotic tablets. I didn't have any yogurt starter, and I didn't have any old yogurt, because you can just put in like a half a cup of yogurt, and that will make another batch of yogurt. I didn't have either one of those, but I did have probiotic tablets, and I thought, what the heck? I'm going to throw the milk away anyway. I might as well try it. So I did. I tried it, and I followed the directions of what they said, and it did not come out. It just made the milk sour. So that was a flop. So just know that everything you do, all these different things you try, not everything is going to be a success, but if you were going to throw it away anyway, what difference does it make? So that was number 5. Number 6, don't use your clothes dryer. If you have a washing machine, don't use a clothes dryer. Either get a clothesline outside, or if you live in town or a city like I do, that rack right behind me over here, that's a clothes rack that you can dry clothes on, and I have used that for years. I only got my dryer just a few months ago. I have not used that in this apartment because I moved in the summer, and it was quite moist. It's quite moist in here. It's humid in here in the summertime. It's quite shaded by the trees that are outside, so it's quite moist, and I didn't want to add moisture to the air, so I didn't use it. It is dry this winter. I could use it to save a little bit of money. But anyway, you can buy those things at many thrift stores. I always find those at antique shops and thrift stores all over the place. So dry your clothes on a clothes rack. Number 7, brown bag your lunch, or don't go out. Don't go out to eat. That's a big one. A lot of people, you can save a lot of money. I've talked about that in my last video. I'll do that, a link below for my other frugal video that I did. But, you go out to eat now, and you're lucky to get a meal, a sandwich for like under $7. That's a lot of money when you can pack it for just a few, $1 or even under $1. So brown bag your lunches, and the kids' lunches too. That's always a good thing to do. Okay, number 8 is eat less. Eat less food. Who of us doesn't want to lose weight? Well, that's a good way to do it, and that's incentive to save money. Eat less food. And if you do eat healthy, it is a little bit more money, but I'm kind of on a quest right now where I'm trying to find coupons for healthy foods, you know, produce and fruits and things like that. So that's going to be kind of my 2019 thing. I'm going to try to do get coupons for healthier foods. But anyway, number 8, eat less so that you can lose weight. Number 9 is a big one. I love this one. Make your own. Make your own mixes and sauces and lotions and laundry detergent. I mean, there's so many recipes out there for make your own stuff. I've got a little list of a few things. Well, let me go over my stuff first. I make my own laundry detergent. I mentioned that in my last video, which I'll link. So I make my own laundry detergent. I make my own Worcestershire sauce, believe it or not, you guys. And you can do it with stuff you have in your pantry. Believe it or not, you can. Because it is very expensive. I will say that I do like the store-bought Worcestershire sauce if I'm going to make Chex Party Mix. It is better in that. But I do make my own Worcestershire sauce. Laundry detergent, Worcestershire sauce. I make my own barbecue sauce. I make my own like a taco seasoning mix. I've done that before. Any of those spice rubs, I do all those all the time. But anyway, other make your own recipe things that you can do are baby wipes, dryer sheets. You can make your own maple syrup. Now, I like the real stuff. But when my kids were little and I was pinching pennies, I couldn't afford the real stuff. It's quite expensive. So maple syrup, frozen pops. In this book, this Tightwad Gazette book that I have, she goes into great detail about how she makes little freezer pops for her kids in the summertime. And she makes it from like leftover stuff. Sweetened condensed milk. If you're a cook and a baker, sweetened condensed milk, you can make your own. I've done that before. Your own Bisquick mix. I love that one. Bubbles, for those play bubbles that kids use outside. That's an easy one. Make your own Christmas presents, cleaning supplies, personal care supplies, coffee and tea mixes. Like I said, barbecue sauce and Worcestershire sauce. Onion soup mix. There are lots of videos online. My grandson watches them all the time on how to make your own slime. You know, that kid's toy, like silly putty kind of type thing. Slime. You can make hot cocoa mixes, potpourri. You can make your own baking powder. She has a recipe for it in this Tightwad Gazette. I'm telling you guys, her principles, her universal recipes, and her make your own mix kind of things is worth getting that book for. For $22 to $24. It's well worth it. Her recipes are still plenty, you know, usable. I mean, they're relevant for nowadays. So number 9 was make your own mixes. Number 10, recycle and reuse. That's an old one, I know, but boy, there's so many things you can do. Like I said, old food containers. All kinds of stuff in my freezer that I put my broth and stuff. I'll use Tupperware containers, but I also use canning jars, but I use like old sour cream or cottage cheese containers. Sometimes cream cheese in those little round containers. If you want a small amount, you can use those. I use those all the time. I wash them out, and if I don't recycle them, I use them around here. I saw in my last video, which I said I'll link below, there was I did a video on my thrift store haul that I got, that I found some Martha Stewart Living magazines for like 50 cents, a whole stack of them. Well, I found an article in there, in one of those, it was from 2010, one of those magazines from 2010, where she had an article in there on how to use men's shirts to make a little girl's jumper. My gosh, was that cute. I want to do that for my granddaughter. I'm no sewer, but gee, that was simple enough. And also men's wool suits, or women's wool suits. You can find them in thrift stores all the time around here. And you can make like blankets, cut it into squares and make a blanket, or you could make little kids a primitive looking little stuffed animal. So cute. Let's see. I can't read my own writing, but oh, jeans, old jeans. All kinds of YouTube videos and articles out there on what to do with your old jeans. Save your jeans until they're all ripped out and nobody can use them anymore, and then cut out the good parts and make a quilt or one of those rag rug type things or something like that. I mean, get as much use out of it as you possibly can. Old calendars. I mean, they have beautiful pictures on some of those old calendars. You could even frame some of those. There's always something you can do with them. Old Christmas cards. cut out, I've done this before, cut out a pretty picture on one, or cut out a pretty section and make another card for next year. Mesh bags. Now, sometimes you can buy produce in mesh bags. You can also buy turkeys come in a mesh bag. It's made of that weird plasticky mesh material. Sometimes you can get potatoes, or, you know, like I said, produce come in those mesh bags. Well, if you save those mesh bags, I use those turkey mesh bags to dry my garlic with when I garden, and I take that garlic needs to dry for quite a while. So I like to keep it in a place where air can circulate. Otherwise, it gets moldy. The paper on the outside of the garlic will get moldy. So I use those bags for that. My sister does all the time too. You can put onions in them when you take them out of your garden. You can also make those little scrubbies that you use in the shower. That's all those are, is mesh. Styrofoam meat trays. When you have those styrofoam meat trays, I like to use them for craft supplies. I've got one right down here I use for some ground turkey in a hard meat tray, and I'm going to either, you know, I wash it out so I can recycle it, but if I'm going to do a craft project, I might as well save it and use that plastic container for that. But those styrofoam meat trays, she's got a cute little video, a cute little article in there about how to make a little kid's airplane. You know, you fly those little kids' airplanes, and you can use those foam meat trays for that. But like I said, I like to use them for crafts, like painting and stuff like that. Old magazines, like those old magazines, I share them with my family, or, you know, other people that I know. But if I'm not going to do that, you know, you can use them as a pad to do crafts on. And then as you get glue on it, or you get paint on it, rip it out and throw those pages away. You can even burn those pages in your wood stove if you have one. But anyway, old magazines you can reuse. Glass jars. If you buy jars of pizza sauce, spaghetti sauce, Alfredo sauce, any of those sauce jars you buy, keep them. They're great to make like homemade salad dressings in them. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can use them to store all kinds of stuff. And so my last and final tip, you guys, and I think it's a good one. It's number 11, and it's if you really want to be frugal, talk to old people. They have got the best frugal tips, especially if that old person was old enough to live through the Depression. Now, those people are kind of getting up there now. I think they're in their 90s now. But if you have, you know, old Aunt Matilda is in a nursing home, hunt down those old people and talk to them about what they used to do to save money. And I am telling you, they are the best resource you could imagine. If they lived through the Depression, they lived through some tough times, and they had to do a lot of stuff that we wouldn't even dream of doing, but they did it, and they did it all. But anyway, talk to some old people. They can really, and they would love to share their wisdom. Okay, well, those are my 11 tips for the day today. I hope you guys like them. I love them, and I use them all the time. And if that can be helpful to you guys, yeah, do it. If it can help everybody save a nickel, it's worth it. But check out Amy Decision's book. I'm telling you, it's fabulous. I refer to it all the time, and I've had it for years. Still very relevant. So anyway, you guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye-bye.